And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called That Time You Killed Me. Now let me read you the flavor text in the back of the box. I have good news and bad news. The good news, you've invented time travel. The bad news, someone is going to murder you and steal your invention. The worst news, that person is someone you know. In fact, it's the person you're going to play this game with. The worst news of all, you might not be the person who invented time travel. You might be the murderer. So how do you know if you're the smartest person of all or the traitor who killed them? Well, there's one way to find out. Well, you play this game. So this is, and there's more to the back of the box, but this game is a kind of this humorous idea of like, I invented time travel, but I'm killing you. But wait, no, I invented time travel, therefore. This is a game for two players in which you have some pawns that represent yourself. They're copies of you that are jumping from the past to the present to the future. You're jumping around trying to murder each other. Or in this game, you murder each other the same way a chess piece murders another chess piece, taking another piece off the board. It has modules though. So the game is a basic level and then adds in modules to change it around. Let's take a look at how it works and we'll be back. So in this game, there is modules that you'll add, but we're going to talk about the base game here. In the base game, each player, you're going to play white or black, and you're playing in the past, the present, and the future. Each player is going to start with a pawn on space 16 or 1, depending on which side you're sitting. And this player has their focus token in the past. The other player starts with their focus in the future. And you have 4 more copies of yourself that you possibly can use. Although you can take some of those copies away if you want to make the game more balanced. Let's say the white player is better than the black one. They would take a couple copies away. On your turn, you're going to pick a pawn, a copy of yourself that you have, and take 2 actions with it that you must take. Now you must pick a pawn where your focus action is. So as the black player here, my focus is here. There's only 1 pawn there, so that's the one I have to pick. So what are your options? One of your options is simply to move to an adjacent spot. And you can do the same action twice. So maybe this is my whole action. I do that, and then I change my focus to a different spot on the board. And then the white player might do this, but then they might decide to time travel. Now, there are 2 ways to time travel in this game. You can time travel into the future, which means you go 1 arrow to the same number. If someone else is there or something's there, you can't move to it. So they're going to move there, and then let's say they also move their focus here. Ooh, interesting. So now I do 1, and I'm going to travel to the past. Blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. When you travel to the past in this game, you can't go in the past and then meet yourself in the future. So you create a copy of yourself. That's how you get more pawns on the board. And in fact, once all your pawns are gone, you can no longer travel into the past. So what's the point of this game? Well, it's to murder your opponent. And in the base game, there are 2 ways to murder your opponent. If you move to where they are, you push them. So if the white is here and black is here, black can do this, pushing the white pawn there. But if I do it here, they get pushed against the wall, squish, they're dead. And that's actually what the rule book says. If you push them into somebody else, then they're both dead, because you're never allowed to go into a spot with your own people. That causes a paradox, of course. If at the end of your turn you control 2 out of the 3 spots, you win the game. So in this case, boom, black has won the game. If you have no legal moves, you would lose. I don't think that will happen. And it's possible for a draw to happen. Now what I just showed you here is the very basic game. But the box comes with 4 modules. Well, actually it comes with 3 modules, 1, 2, 3, and this is a way to combine them and do other things. And I'm going to show you the contents of this box first. In this box there's a lot of envelopes, and this says a game where you control 3 elephants and your opponent controls none. Then you open this and you can use these powers and things. This kind of gives you special ability powers that you can use over the course of a game. And I don't want to spoil too much of this for you. So you can see there's elephants in this one, and there are statues in this one. So we're just going to open this first box and take a look at the plants. In this one we have seeds and plants. And the way seeds and plants works is as an action you can plant a seed somewhere that's in a space adjacent to you. But when you do that, if nobody's in the spot in there, a bush would grow, and then a tree would grow. So a tree can grow all the way in the future if you plant a seed in the past. Well, what are trees good for? Well, you can topple trees over. If you're next to a tree, you can push it so that it falls and crushes somebody and it lays there like that. You can even get rid of a seed in the past, which gets rid of the stuff in the future. You can't go into bushes. If you get pushed into a bush, you die. Seeds, though, you can walk into those spots if you want to. That's pretty much it. That's all the module that adds, but it really does take the game to a different place. And like I said, there's going to be different rules and different things added with the statues, the elephants, and then ways to combine the different modules. The component quality for the game is really well done. The rules are fantastic. I mean, when you go through them, they're funny. They have funny comments written throughout them, but it's very clear on how to play the game. You get through, and then it says stop. Okay, so then you see this is the how to play with the chapter 1, growth, and the seeds and the shrubs, and it's just really well done. It's a funny but informative, really good rule book. And then the pieces themselves, so it's kind of hard to see here, but the pawns have like these little hexagons in them. They're really satisfying. You can see the boards. You know, it's pristine in the past and just falls apart in the future. The boxes here and the pieces inside them fit nicely in there. The only component I might complain about, I thought the seeds were a little too small, maybe, but maybe I'm looking for something to complain at that point. This game just has a really great feel to it. Okay, so first of all, this has a very intriguing mix of theme and lack thereof. So this is an abstract strategy game. There's no question about that. You move pieces around like chess and checkers and many games like that ilk. But it also has a pretty strong theme. There's time travel. It's just kind of a weird mix like that, and I like it. I love the humor. Forced humor in games does not always work, but in this particular game, I think that it does. And that's mostly because it's done so with a tongue-in-cheek, and since you're just moving pawns around, yes, it talks about murder, but there's no blood, no guts. It's just a piece taking another piece. So from that end, I enjoy it. The base game itself, the first one I showed you before I showed you the plants, that game is there, I think, mostly just to show you how it works. Because my second game of the base one, I was like, all right. In fact, that game came to a draw because we were like, okay, there's a few things that you can do. We figured out how to do them. And then we added the plants in, and yeah, wow, there's the game. Of course, the statues and the elephants, there's the game too. I have not actually yet played with everything mixed together, and I'll tell you why. Because this is one of the most brain melty of the games I've ever played. There's going to be so much of this game that is played in silence. As I sit there and think, okay, I can jump to the past, making a copy of myself here in the future. But if I jump to the past, these pieces are next to each other. And if they're next to each other, that person can move too and push them into each other, which takes them out. So I don't want to do that per se. But if I plant a seed here and it grows to a tree here, and then I go here and then knock the tree over, there's just so much of that here. And I really like it. I like it that the concept of doing something in the past affects the future. Jumping from the future to the past is cool, but creates copies. And you need to control two sections, so you don't want to set your opponent up for that by, I'll put all my people in this one section and trap you. Oh no, you got the other two. It is really well done, but it is thinky as all get out. Everyone I played this game with just sits there and goes, whoa, but they've enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed it. Because sometimes you want a game that does it. Sometimes you want a game that feels tough. And the thing is, what I like about this game is there's not that many rules. The base game is like 4 or 5 rules. And they add a couple rules with the plants and the trees. But because the theme in the background is poking his head around the corner, it works. I don't sit there and go, when I plant a seed in the future, does that create a tree in the past? Is that the way real life works? Of course not. So I don't have to ask that question, and that's helpful. I think I like the statues the best of the modules. The extra powers and stuff at the end. Some of those, the cards say that when you've done this thing, and I'm like, well, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I might just open those envelopes anyway, but there's a lot of replayability here. This is not going to be a game for everybody. If you don't like thinky games like chess or the GIP series or other, very involved, thinky, abstract games, I don't think this one's going to be up your alley. It also is a two-player game. That's what the game is meant for, so you got to keep those in mind. But if you like that sort of thing, this one feels different. This is on my list for sure of unique games. It's unique in its mechanisms. It does time travel in a way that makes sense. Time travel is almost impossible to do well in board games. This is one of the best ones ever done. And it's an abstract game, but it works and it makes sense. And the pieces feel like you're playing a high-quality abstract. That's one of the things about abstract. You want the game to feel like you're playing this high-quality game where you are standing there at the foot of a table and your opponent is standing there. I like that feel, but it also has a fun theme in the background and is just interesting. So all around, it's one that I like. It's not one I want to play all the time. If I'm late at night and I'm tired, this ain't getting played. But if I'm in that mood to have a death match, literally, with my opponent in a board game with a fun time travel theme thrown on it, then yeah, I want to try That Time You Killed Me. Check it out. Dice Tower Judgment approved.